Well, welcome everyone to another episode of Voice Tech, the podcast about voice technologies and conversational technologies. Today is going to be a little bit different, and it's also going to be in English instead of Spanish. So here we are today, as you can see, in a way better setup than my usual room at home. So yeah, we are today at Google Paris for the Gemma Day, and I have two friends joining me today, Laura and Daniel. Thanks for joining me today. You want to introduce yourself really quick, Laura, if you want to start?
Sure. I'm Laura Morillo. I work as a platform engineer at ZTAG, and I'm also a Google developer expert for the cloud area.
And I'm Daniel Gwirtsman. I'm helping companies and projects to get their technical strategy. And I'm also a GDE, AI and cloud.
That's great. So people that, I work with them in the communities. Also, Danny is part of the Google for Startup program. So he is a mentor of startups as well. So yeah, great people here. So we are here, as I said, in the Gemma Day. So the first thing that I want to hear from you is, they just released it today, but the first thoughts about Gemma 3, like what do you think about it?
I think that it's amazing how fast everything is being improved, and the new capabilities they are being able to get and provide with these tools day by day, and how they improve things with every version. I can only say that I think that it's amazing.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you, Daniel?
So I think during the keynote, I had this thought that we have actually two parallel races between really large models that are trying to be like, we will solve you everything. And we have this open model that kind of says, will be very good in one task, which was until now very fair. But I think today we saw some capability that I'm expect from the big models inside the open models, which I think should be like a big shift in the way we're approaching those as tools. So maybe now we can have more capability, faster, cheaper, on device. I think it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, and you said one thing that is really important, which is open models. So there was one graph, one chart that they showed us today, and it was Gemma was really close to DeepSeek R1 model. And at the bottom of the chart was the GPU needed to run the model, and Gemma 3 was just one, I think like one TPU, and you can run Gemma like the 27 billion or 12 billion. So yeah, and we saw also today like just now the NVIDIA Jetson, which is kind of like a Raspberry Pi 4 with NVIDIA on top of it.
It's crazy.
With a lot of steroids.
And we saw Olama running there, and it's just, like, because I remember when I was at the university, like when we were doing some like makers thing, like with Arduino, with Raspberry and all that stuff, it was just that. And now with 200 more bucks, you can get something similar, but with NVIDIA on top of it, and you can run a bunch of things like try, experiment, and in terms of like the industry, like you can run a bunch of things on the edge as well, thanks to those new devices. So yeah, so far it has been a great experience today this week in the Gemma Day.
I think that the comparison that you did with the Raspberry Pi, it's quite similar with what we are getting here. It's how they are trying to make these kind of technologies closer to anyone, and creating technology that it's affordable for more people. So you don't need to have like a full room of computers to run a model. You can have only a small device that is something like this to run your own model at home.
And you don't have to be connected to the internet or to the cloud. You can just run it offline. This is a game changer.
Democratizing the
technology and the artificial intelligence.
And that has been, I think, the trend since like GPT-3. with the AI. I mean, their APIs, like making really easy to interact with a model. Then we saw that on Vertex as well, like deploying, like models with just one click, and you have an endpoint. And with that endpoint, you can inference, and that's it. Like really easy to use, really easy to set up. So we are moving towards, like a world that anyone with any background can play with AI and with different models. So, and speaking about democratizing AI, and also speaking about AI, today I want to also cover something about development with AI, because it's also really trendy. We have seen a lot of companies out there like building really cool things. Google with Gemini AI Assist, GitHub with Copilot, there's Cursor, Windsurf, and every week there's a new one. So I want to ask you, in terms of code generation, how you are using it in your day-to-day, and what are your thoughts on that after, because I use it a lot, so yeah, and I have my thoughts, but I want to hear yours first.
So in my case, I think that any companion tool to create your code that you can use, as you can use a lot of them, they are really nice, helping you with a lot of kind of easy tasks, like maybe helping to document your code, helping to understand a piece of code that you need to extend, or even helping you to find improvements to some written piece of code. But the main problem that I still find is that as a platform engineer, I need to do a lot of Terraform code. And usually the providers update the modules quite often. So when you ask for a help to run something from scratch, then usually they are using a history for maybe 2 versions before.
Yeah.
So then you try to run that, and then you discover, okay, now this is not working anymore because they have changed this and this. So I think that probably the main issue is if you need to be with 2 up-to-date versions, then it's difficult to use these companion tools, because they are going to be trained always with behind data.
Yeah.
So I feel that this probably is one of the main issues that I have to face when I use a companion tool for my coding.
That's also true. I hear a lot of web developers that they're running into issues because they are using like, I don't know, like they want to try like the last Next.js version or the last Angular React versions. And probably when you ask like Copilot or Gemini Code Assist to generate, like, I don't know, like a boilerplate, something you like from scratch, you will get it, but instead of like React 19, React 17 or something like that, because like everything changes.
Yeah.
And what about you, Daniel?
So before I'm talking about me, I have an answer for that. I have a solution for that, and I think this is also why we talk about why I like Cursor so much. What I'm doing when I have a situation like that is I'm connecting it to the latest version and the latest examples. So instead of just asking to write the function, the code, whatever, I'm first giving a lot of information about what I need. And then I'm also specified, this is the type of version you need to use. If this model is connected to the internet, it's great, because that's really helpful. If not, in Cursor, there is an area of Notepad that you can just put your own content and it will index it into their own RAG system. So I'm just putting in all the documentation that I can from that specific version that I want, and now I'm getting like a better results. And now I don't need to worry about like, yeah, this is old, this is not you. So
that's a good one. And that's why Cursor is pushing everyone here in terms of like Copilot, Gemini Code Assist. That's why it's leading, in my opinion. Not in terms of numbers, but in terms of like dev happiness. I think Cursor is leading the world. And also there's one cool thing about Cursor, because all the things that you mentioned are really cool, but there's another one that is also super trendy right now, which is the MCPs, the Model Context Protocol servers. That is basically, you can add like external MCP server URLs or any that you are running locally. So for the ones that don't know what is an MCP, is basically is kind of like a server that you are running that has a lot of tools for your LLMs built in, and you just need to plug it in Cursor, for example. I think there's a page to add a lot of MCP, like Supabase, like Firebase, like you can connect to any MCP server. And when you are asking questions in Cursor, you can have like your local knowledge base, as you said, plus the MCP server, so you can like get more context from, I don't know, like your collections in Firebase. So when you're generating, when you're asking like, hey, build me a DTO for this class, for example, it will fetch that from the MCP server. And I think that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, especially when you can connect it to a browser search. So you can do search on the web. And I had this thing that we just talked about. There was a new release of Google API that was just released the same day that I tried it. And I use Claude. If you download Claude on your computer, you can connect it to those tools. And I connected it to the web search. And as I said, look for this new version. And now write me like a tutorial of how to do it, and it did it with no problem.
Yeah.
So same things, connected to Cursor, and you have a web search, and you can search to whatever latest version of code you want to use.
It is changing a lot. And in my opinion, I think like Copilot, it has like to build a bunch of stuff to be at the level of Cursor, in my opinion.
And I think, by the way, I think you can also mix and match here, because we cannot take away from Copilot that it is training on GitHub. This is like the biggest source of coding ever.
That's true.
And since Cursor is running VS Code, which some developers hate, this is why they're not using Cursor, because it's based on VS Code, fair. But you can actually run other assistants on Cursor that are not connected to the main engine of it, and still get benefit from Gemini code assistant, from all the rest. So it's just like at the extension. Some of them are not playing well together, but some of them do. So you have now another incentive and another source that you need to pay money for.
Got it.
Sorry.
Got it. No. But that's quite interesting, because I will try that. Because I didn't know that you can add like other, like engines in Cursor. And now that you mentioned that Copilot is trained from like all the public code on GitHub, there are really cool code in GitHub that like
not all of them.
The entire Linux Foundation is there, so we're pretty sure that there's good code there, but there's not so much good code there as well. Right. So do you have like an experience, like when now that we're talking about like code generation and all that stuff, and you see that the code is like, it contains like a bug or like SQL injection or like a vulnerability or like something that you think I will never write something like that?
I remember some pieces of code that directly didn't work.
Yeah.
And it was my husband who was trying to build something, and then he was asking, okay, this. Great, I have everything I need. Run it, pluff. And then you face, okay, what's wrong? And you try to ask again an AI, okay, what's wrong with this code? And they explain this to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that sometimes it's not perfect.
It is not. You need to be very careful.
Yes.
And write it like properly. I mean, with code generation, it's just tap, 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 and that's it. But when you are interacting with the like ChatGPT or with Gemini and all that stuff, you need to be like very, very careful, like with your prompt and what you are requesting to the model to have a good output.
Yeah.
What about you?
So I think my philosophy with any generative text, code, whatever, is that I need to be the expert in the picture here. So I need to know what's going out because it's, in the end of the day, it's my code. I don't care that someone else read it. It's from, when you think about it, it's like having an intern, and you won't put code of an intern right into your GitHub. You will read it first, you will do code review, you will fix it. So that's my approach. And I'm trying to make sure that I'm not only asking for the code. So there will be some kind of a discussion before it won't be like a prompt and then give me a code. You will never see that on any of my conversation, because it's the same thing with interns. It's the same things that happen in my head. So if you will come to me now and tell me, we need you to build this function that will do this and that, in my head, there won't be like immediately sit on the keyboard to write code. It will be, so, first of all, I need to understand it. I need to visualize it in my head.
Yeah.
And then once I have like a mental image of the solution of, okay, what's going in, what's going out, what do I need to, where are the error handling, what do I need? So once I have all that, only then I'm sitting on the keyboard and writing code. So this day I'm trying to do this process also with the LLM. So I'm starting by saying, okay, this is what I'm planning to do. This is what I'm thinking about it. This is the requirement. This is how I usually do it. And then I'm just adding one line that changed everything, which is, don't write any code. Just ask me questions that will help you generate better code later. And now, instead of me telling the LLM, like, okay, obey, give me answer, I'm asking him, let's discuss. Let's make a discussion here. Let's figure out what I missed, because it could be that I give like a huge amount of instruction, but I forgot about security, which sometimes happens.
Got it.
Okay? So, and then you'll start getting like questions. Some of them are completely stupid questions. So you will see like my answer, like, yes, no, I don't care about it now. We'll do it later. And some of them like, oh, wait, what do you mean I don't, this is a security issue. And you say, and sometimes like getting back, do you want to use this methodology or this one? And I'm like, wait, I know this first one, I don't know the second one. So now it's a learning experience with the LLM. Instead of just it writing the code, we're actually having a discussion, and we figure out more about the planning before we're writing the code. And once we're getting that, now we can write a code.
I think that's a really good approach. I will try to do it afterwards, because I'm right now, like when I'm trying to write code, sometimes like I'm feeling like I'm getting like older and more lazy every day. So what I'm trying to do right now, and that's something that I try like like starting in 2025 or late 2024, like December, is instead of writing code, talking to an LLM like Copilot Chat or Gemini Code Assist, and like explaining in natural language what I want, like what you said.
Yeah.
And so far, like instead of I usually write in Golang, so instead of writing Golang, I just writing, and then like Copilot is doing the other stuff. Sometimes works, sometimes doesn't work, of course, but you just mentioned that you do it, but you, Laura, are you usually doing like writing or using Copilot Chat or Gemini Code Assist using natural language, like just asking or requesting, I want this, blah, 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 or write a function that does blah, 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 blah?
I try to provide as much information as possible, and I always also try to review everything that I'm provided with. I don't like only trusting something that you have provided me. I copy and paste. Great, everything is done. If it works, don't touch it. No, I always try to fully understand what's providing and check if it would be something that I had provided with more time, but that I had done by myself, or if I see something that I would have changed or made different.
Yeah, I think that's a key thing, because whatever you see that is AI generated, like you have to double check, like 100%. Like there's no reason that you don't have to check, at least nowadays. We'll see in a couple of years, but at least nowadays.
So there used to be a say when Stack Overflow became very popular that a good developer copy, a bad developer paste. And I think it's very important also in the generative code.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can copy the code, it's fine, but read it, understand it, change whatever need to change to be your code, and only then paste it. And that's the important difference between being totally lazy, like, yeah, I'm writing a prompt and I'm copying it and paste it. And unfortunately, I do see people do that.
Yeah.
And then they don't understand what happened later. No, being a software developer means you understand the entire solution and you're responsible for the code you provide. That's also mean testing, which really help these days because we have someone else who can write the test for us.
Yeah, and now that you mentioned that, that people that you just mentioned, it's what I'm seeing right now in my day-to-day are like junior people, like interns or people that they are just, or at the university, like playing with AI and all that stuff. That is like, that amazed me. Like they just like copy paste, but without like any, I don't know, like any effort in trying to understand what they are copy pasting. And it's insane for me. Like it's just, the other day I was seeing someone like deploying a Kubernetes on GKE. It's like, oh yeah, copy paste, boom, boom, boom. And it was like, you are deploying infrastructure that is not quite cheap, and you are like running the commands directly. And it was amazing to see that, unfortunately. But yeah, they need to learn what they are doing and what they are reading in order to execute or copy paste the code, because it is really, really important. So the last question before we finish the podcast today: what are your thoughts for juniors and people that are starting their career with all this AI thing, in terms of generative code in this case?
I think that it's not a risk only for junior people. I think that there are also a lot of senior people that are at the risk of becoming too lazy, because I had, for example,
That's me.
one experience where we were reviewing an SQL query, then the person was doing something really weird to transfer dates. I told him, okay, have you tried doing a transformation like this? And the answer was, I have asked ChatGPT and it told me that there's no function to do that. Say, okay, Google, blah, blah, blah. Here's the first link. This is the function that you need. And the answer was, no, it's impossible, because I asked ChatGPT and it said that it was so, and it wasn't a junior person. So I think that what I would say is that it's something that depends on the person, and it's a mindset that we should have.
Yeah.
We should know that the answer is going to be always as good as the question that we do. And we don't always know the perfect question for the answer that we need. So that's why we should be always wondering if we are using the right tool in the right way. That's why I always try to understand and keep digging on what I'm getting. Because, of course, for a junior person with even less background, it's more important because you are generating your own foundations. So it's better if you grow over a nice base, because if for you everything is too easy to break because you only know a bit, because I take this from this and this from this, but I don't really know how everything matches or how everything works together, then you are not going to be able to keep growing on your career. So that would be probably my answer.
That's true. That's true. And everyone should follow that mindset and learn how to use AI. I think someone told me that, like at Google, like anyone is like being teach on how to use AI. Like no matter your day-to-day job, you're gonna have an AI, like workshop course to learn how to use it. So I think that's gonna be mandatory. What about you, Daniel?
So first of all, I'm doing those workshops
Okay.
for companies if everyone need. Although I prefer to do it to senior developers. I think our industry is going to have a huge change because, and I'm not only specific that about junior, because I agree with you. There's a lot of other developers, and we see it all the time around us. There are developers like us that this is our craftsmanship. We love, even if no one will pay us money, we will probably at night will still write code, right? And so this is why we care about it. And this and there's plenty of us, and I'm not worried about those developers. I'm worried about all the rest who don't much care. They have other hobbies. That's fine. That's great. But soon there will be no one to pay you money to do that because people like us could create better code much more faster in a higher quality. And people will prefer to have one of us than 10 of other people.
Exactly.
And that's the main problem because if you're going back to interns and to people who want to start, who will pay them money to be interns? Who will give them the opportunity? Because I have to tell you the truth. In the last year, I'm all the time using those tools just to practice myself and to build workshops. So I realized in a second that I don't need interns anymore. It actually will take me more time to explain to a human where he got wrong than to explain to Claude 3.7, which usually don't get it wrong, even to begin with. And we are only in the beginning of this. So wait like a year from now, code will be better, will be faster, and we should probably will do less prompting to get the good results out. So I think that's going to be the main problem of the industry. How do we raise the new generation that's going to replace us? Because eventually we won't write code anymore. We will retire.
To be like AI native or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And yeah, we will see the future of AI because every week is, you will never know.
The future is now.
The future is now. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.